In today's video, we are going to be working through yet another word problem. Because this is a Unit 2 word problem, we can expect to see more than one unknown because this is going to be a system of equations. We're also going to throw in a little bit of inequality work here just to keep us challenged. So the problem that we're going to be working through together is number 10 on your study guide that you were given in class. It's right there on the front page. As with every word problem, the first thing I want you to do is read through the problem in its entirety. So without writing on it or anything, just read through the problem, get a good feel for what it is you're working with here. So a business invests $6,000 in equipment to produce a product. Each unit of the product costs 90 cents to produce and is sold for $1.50. How many units of the product must be sold in order for the business to make a profit? That should say profit. There's a bit of a typo there. Okay. The next thing you're going to do is read through this problem a second time, this time marking key numbers and words. I like to circle the numbers and highlight the words that go with them that tell me what they're going to be used for. So a business invests $6,000. Well, I know that investing means that's the money that I'm spending just to get my business started, or in this case, to get the equipment for making the product. And then each unit of the product costs 90 cents. That's another cost that's going to be coming out of my pocket, so I'm not making any money yet. But I sell the product for $1.50. Yay, I finally get to make some money. There's the good stuff. And what the final question is asking is it's asking how many units a business would need to sell in order to make a profit if this information is true. All right, so we've read through the problem. We've marked up our problem a little bit, and then the next thing we need to do is define some variables. Well, I'm going to use some scratch paper here to give myself plenty of room to work. But when I'm defining variables, I'm looking for anything that shows up in this problem that I don't know the value of. When I read this problem, I see three things that I don't know. The first thing I don't know, I'm going to define as C. That is the cost of running this business. I know it feels like a waste of time to write this out, but it really is helpful in keeping you on track and making sure you don't make any careless errors. So the cost of running the business is the first thing I don't know. The next thing I don't know is how much money am I going to make? That's going to be my revenue. So that's the amount of money that's brought into the business. Okay, that's going to come probably primarily from selling things. And then the last thing I don't know, we're just going to define to be X, and that is how many units am I actually going to be selling? How many units of product? And that's probably what we're really looking for in this problem, since the question is asking how many units of product. All right, but if I have three unknowns, then in a system of equations, however many unknowns you have, you need to have the same number of equations. So if I have three unknowns, then I should expect to have three equations to go with those unknowns. So I'm going to go ahead and start trying to make a plan, which in this case is going to be writing equations, because, you know, that's my plan for solving this problem. So my first equation, I'm going to go ahead and write an equation to represent the cost of running the business. Well, we kind of already talked about it as we were marking the problem. The cost of running the business is that initial $6,000 investment plus the 90 cents per product. Well, we don't know how many times we're going to have to pay 90 cents. That's going to come into play when we figure out how many units of product. So that is another unknown. I'm going to multiply that 90 cents times however many products I make. Okay? Now I'm going to try and write my second equation, which is going to define my revenue. My revenue, we said the only place this company is making money is when they sell their product. So our revenue is going to equal $1.50 for every product they make. Well, if I'm making $1.50 for every product, then that means $1.50 times however many units of product we make / sell. All right. I have 3 unknowns, and so far I only have 2 equations. I need one more equation in order to be able to solve this. To help me write that last equation, I'm going back to the question that was asked. How many units of the product must be sold in order for the business to make a profit? If a business is making a profit, then that means their revenue, the money coming in, should exceed or be greater than the money going out. So the money that they're making should be greater than the cost of running the business. That's our third equation. In this case, it happens to be an inequality, but we want this R to be greater than the cost of running the business. Well, luckily, I have an equation that represents R. R is equal to $1.50x, and we're going to be using, I should write this off to the side, we're going to be using the substitution method here because it's my favorite, and also it just makes sense for this particular problem because I can substitute, I know what R is, and I can substitute that in. I want that $1.50 times the number of products to be greater than the cost. So there's another substitution I can make because I know that the cost of running this business is going to be $6,000 plus 90 cents for every product. So to figure out how many products I need to sell in order to make a profit, I've got to figure out when does this $1.50x exceed this 6,000 plus 90 cents x. Okay, so solving this is fairly simple. I'm just going to start by trying to move all my variables to one side of the equation, to one side of the inequality. So I'm going to subtract 90 cents x on both sides. $1.50 minus 90 cents is 60. If you're not sure about that, you can always use your calculator. And that is, we're still wanting that to be greater than the $6,000 investment that we first put into the equipment. Right? Now I've got multiplication. To undo that, I'm going to divide by that 60 cents. And at this point, I am going to take out my calculator just to make sure I don't mess up any zeros. So I've got 6,000 divided by, turn a light on for you, 6,000 divided by 60 cents, which is 10,000. Count your zeros, make sure you didn't miss any. But that is X is greater than 10,000. What that means for us is that in order for this company to make a profit, X, which is the number of units, must be greater than, not equal to, because we don't want to just break even on this business, we want to make a profit. So number of units must be greater than 10,000. So 10,001 or more. All right, and there is your answer. Good luck, and we'll see you next time.